once you hear that sound, that is Quartet Session with me, El, and my esteemed co-host. That is the Avenger Only One, Elan Phillips.
Yes, sir.
Elan, we got to talk there.
Mm-hmm.
The last week of the baby was much the same, except on Friday night. On Friday night, the Cavaliers played the highly touted and preseason favorites, although Bulls is still the champions. Preseason favorites, Celtics, and they hold and give them a royal beating. And it was a very strange, it was an interesting game because Kisari Adams continued his good play this season. He scored 35.
Yeah.
And then it was Theo Greenwich scored 19. But what caught my eye was Darren Hurley was 1 of 10.
Yeah.
3 points.
So
That was probably his worst game ever.
yeah. So if we can talk about that game, I can give Danny all their badge here. Danny was really sick. Hey, Danny, yeah. So he not to excuse or not to take away credit from Cavs. Cavs played really well, energy and everything was there. But Danny was sick. He didn't play the next game. Granted, yes, it was against Warren, but generally he was sick. So that is the one pass that I would give him. Yes, he said continue playing well. He's been playing very well of late, especially on the offensive end. But yeah, that game, right, was tough because if Danny isn't giving you anything alone, so he's CSAT, and then T.O. had a good game, but then if you have Joel was in full trouble, right? So they know that is Joel is probably the best person on Celtics to mark Lebron, right? So they know. So you have Joel out the game. That is your defensive and another offensive weapon. So that's how it was. Cavs were in front by double digits and just went from there. Like their energy, they were crashing the boards, playing physical. They have been playing really well this first round so far. So I will give them credit. I will say it, just pointing out that when we lost to Celtics, we lost to Cavs by less. So they lost by a lot more than we. Don't let that 16-point game lead fool you. It was a lot worse.
I still feel the Cavaliers now have me raising my eyebrows because I must admit that I had them at the beginning of the season. I had them in 3rd position.
Yeah.
And there's something that you hear people say addition by subtraction. They lost a couple of people, but they're playing better to me.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
there are 2 things about Cavaliers teams. There's always be in good shape, right? And there's always play aggressively. So once you got those 2 things, once those 2 things good, the Cavaliers wants to start shooting the ball. I noticed Saeed minutes is gone up, and his scoring is actually gone up too.
Yeah, he's been passing the ball very well so far. I think like he's top 3 or something in assists so far. Yeah.
Right. So I was it's an interesting thing because in the same game, Zachary Kim, who is usually called the Barbados KD, because he's really killed people from that that 2-point area. He only has 6.
Yeah.
Right. So let me say first round goes to the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I don't think Celtics will want to play Bulls in a playoff series in the beginning. So we'll see how the second round goes. But if we end up in a situation where Cavs is second, Celtics is second, and Bulls is third, then we will have the semifinal will be a repeat of the final of last year, last 2 years.
Yeah.
So Cavaliers will have a chance to get in the final because I don't think any of the teams that come in fourth will be able to compete with Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So they will got a chance to get in the final and then just wait until when the the two teams duke it out. Whoever
Yeah,
left standing, they will then take off. But it
yeah,
should be an interesting second round. I also noticed the President's Cup started, and it's
yeah,
really more of the same.
yeah,
What has surprised me is finals really trying to beat it on on Lakers.
yeah,
Um, well, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Finals did add Carl Thorpe, and actually, if I look at the leaderboard, Carl Thorpe
leading D.
and Lebron, like, you know what I mean, like appear everywhere on that leaderboard. I mean, like everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I think the most efficient player actually is Lebron,
yeah, and
uh,
then followed by Carl.
and then followed by Carl.
Yeah,
Your guy that left, that was well, he that y'all didn't match his that y'all did you didn't match the offer. And Tom Winter,
yeah, went to his
he's
favorite really well.
actually playing fairly well. He's fairly efficient too.
Yeah,
And then there's Adams, Phillips, Bridgman, Simeon, Hurley, the Rashid
Rashid,
Leonard, and then
and then
Dash
Hall.
Hall,
Yeah,
right? And that rounds up the 10 most efficient players in the tournament. You notice there's no Laker, there's no Warrens, there's
yeah,
no Schoolboys, and actually one there.
yeah,
So so you can start to see what's going to happen in the second round. We'll wait for those matchups like when Bulls plays Cavaliers, Bulls play Celtics, Celtics play Cavaliers. That should be interesting to see who will play who in the semifinal.
yeah,
That's the most interesting part. But then you have like the bottom tier, like Lakers playing finals for that four spot. I think really finals got the edge. I don't know how come. That's the truth. But they do have the edge. You gotta say, they blow them out basically, and then they played them in the President's Cup, and it was much of the same.
yeah,
Um, Thorpe had a big game, and another interesting thing about the competition too. I look at his standings, right, and Cavaliers really, the amount of points that score against Cavaliers, they had the least points scored against them. Then it was Celtics, who just had two more than because 479 scored against Cavaliers, 481 scored against Celtics. Both of them over 600 points, 676 versus 696. So Cavaliers, Celtics really good. They Celtics scores in bunches and scores bulk.
yeah,
And then there's Bulls who's 659 and Punters who's 611, right? The Punters have a good ratio because they got a running back partners is 4-3. Lakers is 3-4. And then Bears is 2-5. Warriors is 1-6. And then 0-7 is the Schoolboys. So that 4-5 can also be interesting. Look, I don't think they'll be able to compete with the big guys, but I think they'll be able to. That would be interesting in that 4-5 matchup. Um,
yeah,
to see who get that fourth spot. So it should be interesting very interesting going forward in the second round. The President Scott, I don't hold much credence to that. Um, not that I, not that that it is bad or anything. Um, it is, it's just that, like some people just use it to feel out, do the feelers and stuff. And obviously, President Scott is a good cup to win, but I think everybody play basketball to win that Premier League cup,
yeah,
right? And I think it should be interesting. Both tournaments should be very interesting, but I'm waiting for the league
yeah,
to come. I saw Bulls play, and I'm going to really tell you that I was a little surprised how deficient at defense that the Bulls weren't not as good defensively as they are accustomed. Um, but they got 7 more games to sort out. So this should be interesting. Cavaliers gonna be Cavaliers. Once they keep their people healthy, they should be fine. Celtics is Celtics, they shoot those trees. Once they drop in, they'll be fine. Once Derry is back to full health, I think they're going to be, it's an interesting thing though that Derry was ill and they got blown out really. So so we'll see how that matches. But it's interesting. It's looking interesting, although it's kind of lopsided in the league. It is really interesting. But I think going forward, my prediction for the second round, I think Cavaliers should be 1 or 2. I pitch them 1 or 2. And I think the game is going to be Celtics and Bulls. Bulls and Celtics. Celtics, I don't think Celtics want to play Bulls in a series that is not the final. And not because they're afraid or anything. I think they would want to beat Bulls in a semi-final thing. You understand me? They don't want to back to the final and beat them at the final. Because they're coming to 2 eggs in the final, I think. But you never know. That's only me talking. Charlie might be very happy to play them in semi-final and then play a Cavs. He might think that's an easier road for him. But it should be interesting. I think it's easier it'd be better for a 4-game series than to bet a 3-game series. Yeah. So we'll see how that one works out. I think Celtics, I think they got the edge, but we'll see. I am not written off Cavaliers, and I'm not written off those. So we'll see what happens. Now, there's the predictor league for the quarter session. We have to discontinue the predictor league because folks dropped out. And so what we will decide to do is for the second round, we will have player of the week. And also we might bring back the predictor league for the final, for the playoffs. Right? But it all depends on how things shape up. But yes, it has been very good in the NBA. I just waited and see is going to be interesting going forward. And up next is our NBA segment, and we'll be joined by none other than the Beijing Scout, Alan Pinto. And joining us is the Beijing Scout. That is Alan Pinto. Alan, there's a lot of things to talk about in NBA. We're going to try to keep it short, right? I noticed there was some debate as to whether LeBron will retire as a Laker or he will go over to the Cavaliers.
Cavaliers back home.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't think he's going to retire as a Laker. Before this Luka trade, yeah, but I think the plan was to retire as a Laker. But I think with this Luka trade, and with the Lakers having essentially like a clear sheet over the summer, the chance to really rebuild around Luka, I think that is going to has to be priority. And I don't think that LeBron is necessarily going to be the long-term plans next to Luka. I mean, he can't be. He's going to be retiring soon. So I think the Lakers will most likely focus on making sure that they fill their roster spots to be optimal around Luka. And you have to build around Luka a particular way. And they'll probably look at that Dallas blueprint from a few years ago when they got to the NBA Finals and do something similar to that. So I don't think that would include having LeBron on the roster, unless maybe if LeBron is open to taking maybe a very reduced role and a pretty serious pay cut. But I think the pay cut is probably implied no matter where he goes, because I think he's probably still want to go and compete wherever he goes in that season, and he's probably going to have to play at a discount, which he can more than afford to do at this stage of his career. So I don't see him being with the Lakers. I don't think it's in the Lakers' best interest either. I'm not even sure it's in their best interest to hold on to Austin Reeves if he is ideal next. So I think we're going to have to make a serious decision about Austin, and yeah, I think LeBron will be a hard sell.
Interesting there. What about you, Keelan? What do you think?
I think the only way that LeBron retires at the Lakers is if he retire right now. That's the only way I see him retire at the Lakers, right? Yeah, there's been it's something it'd be difficult to say if a team is better with or without based on the numbers because sometimes it'd be a small sample size, but the numbers with Luca and uh Austin Reeves on the
Awesome.
court. Yeah, only minus Braun, the net rating is very positive. I don't know the necessarily the range compared to other teams, but it does look fairly high, right? So while that might not necessarily mean that overall that the team is better without Braun, it does give an indication that you would have to build this roster in a particular way for all three of them. And at this stage, it's not worth it considering that you may tweet your team for Braun and then what, he retires in 1 year. That don't make any sense, right? If anything, you would look to build the team around Luca and Austin Reeves. Um, Austin Reeves, as Alan says, the maybe. It's hard to build your team around two defensive liabilities, guards, maybe one. Like the Mavs got away with it building around Luca, right? At the one. No, Kyrie Irving is not the greatest defensive player ever, but he looked closer to Marcus Smart, playing Marcus Smart compared to Austin Reeves. Like we all know that Kyrie already isn't like was never known as a lot known, but compared to Austin Reeves, he
Yeah.
looked like playing Gary Payton, right? So I think having two complete liabilities on defense is going to be too much. I think I actually think that a a two-way wing is the star wing will be a good person next to Luca. Someone who could play off the ball, catch and shoot, defend, one of the better players on the other team. Um, Almost like a prime Paul George. Not even gonna like prime George, Paul George skill set. Not necessarily Paul George himself, but his skill set is one that a star that you could have next to Luca. But yeah, I don't see a scenario where Braun stays. It's not good for Lakers. It won't be best for him. Just go to any other team. To be honest.
Yeah, I
So,
don't think we necessarily need a Paul George. Anything, I think like a Derek White, Andrew Nemhard type guy,
Yeah, there. Well, yeah,
anything like
like
that
a
could work.
yeah.
so conversely, if he goes to Cavaliers, no,
Uh-huh.
Cavaliers up there really stop.
Yeah.
So, how he can get our team?
If I could go first, I think he Yana team, considering that out of all the positions there that seem to be the weakest is the small forward. I mean,
Yeah,
granted,
great.
Braun at this stage is more of a power forward than a small forward. But having Mobley and Allen as two defensive minded players means that you could kind of get away with Braun being at small forward, in my opinion. Um, so you would have, and that's a big front court. You would have Braun, you would got Mobley, you would have Allen. Then they got lineups where you move Mobley to the center, Allen off, Braun at the four, or Allen at the four, Braun at four. Like, you have a lot of options. So I think if he does take a pay cut, because the small forward is the weakest spot, because Matt Strus still, I can't, is Matt Strus even playing yet? I don't even think
Still
he
low.
is still out, right? So like that
Yeah,
is even something like if Matt Strus does like stay with the team and next year, Matt Strus could be good off the bench. You got Braun, right? So he could fit in from just a position standpoint. No, it gets a little dicey from a maybe fit standpoint because you will have James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and Braun. No, to be fair, to Braun and James Harden, Braun is significantly better off the ball. Like Braun can actually cut set screens and do stuff off the ball. Not as good a shooter as James Harden off the ball, but significantly more movement than James Harden and Luka, who are of the school of when someone is I will stand out at the half court and just wait until it's my turn. Right? But Harden has worked alongside ball dominant guards, right? Cavs' issue is not even really a fit; is a James Harden in particular. He will just fall in the playoffs issue. That's what we all expecting. But I think it could work. It just gonna see.
Yeah, what will you, Alan? Do you feel that could work? Because right now, I looking, I know if it can work. That's true. But Braun brought, what's his name? That player of the Kings now, Russell, right?
Uh,
And turn Russell into a scrub, really. So Braun is a fellow that like the ball in hands a lot. So now he got the ball in hands a lot. Donovan Mitchell ain't see it, and neither will Harden. I ain't really sure how that can work. But you tell me, Alan, when you got bad take on it.
Well, I'm not sure I would give LeBron all the credit for making Russ a scrub. I think Russ. I don't think Russ game
He made it a scrub. He made it a scrub this week.
I
He's
think
not.
Westbrook also. I think Westbrook also made
Russell
Westbrook
Westbrook
also.
cannot play off the ball. I mean,
Yeah,
even
agreed.
my grandmother on a walker could have seen that. You know
But
what I
that's
mean?
also
Like,
management fault though. That's because like yes, I as a
That's
player
more
could
wrong.
tell you, yeah, do thing, but like you still, hell, if I tell you gonna jump off a cliff, and you jump off the cliff, I ain't there, right? Despite I tell you to go and do it, you still have to do it. So no, I ain't telling you to jump off a cliff, but like at the end, their management had to like you could give suggestions at last long. You can be like, hey, thing, right? But if management has simply said, nah, you already said no to Braun for Tyloo. You can say no to Braun for Westbrook.
yeah, but what it got me
I
is
ain't
that
excuse them, man. I ain't excuse them Braun completely, but yeah.
if LeBron come to you and
Agreed.
tell you like he want X, you really
Well, they
feel
get
that they can
well
be
if
thought.
X
You think
well
Rob
if
got
X
the sort of capital that he can say no?
well if X on like Bear
Yeah,
Jones again, he is.
but
Again, he acts what you be nothing if
Anyway,
it's so like nonsense.
anyway,
but
let me hear you, Alan.
well, as Keelan said, he did tell him no with regards to the coach, so he's proven that he could tell him no. And at the
Yeah,
end,
but he had go on knowing me.
Oh, you only have one.
You only have
yeah,
one.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, I think he will be a better fit for the Cavs. I'm not sure it's necessarily the best fit for the Cavs. I think the Cavs probably need that defensive wing. I think they hope they have got it in Keelan Ellis, but like I said earlier, I
Yeah,
think
that's true.
yeah. So if but I think if Braun is probably more open to coming off the bench, I think probably a bench role with the Cavaliers will probably be ideal. But I'm not sure if he is willing to necessarily come off the bench for that type of team. So I think that might be a hard sell for Braun. But I don't know. I think maybe another team. I don't know. Maybe the Warriors might be enticed with it again. The Warriors were looking at him, I think, last year. Maybe they may look at him again if he gets a
I
sweetheart
mean,
contract,
I mean,
playing next to
Warriors
Steph.
actually starting their retirement home. So I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, there you go, right? So yeah, they got a hospital wing before Porzingis, special diseases and whatnot. So I mean, it fits right in, the sciatica and whatnot. So
yeah,
It's true.
yeah. So yeah, well, I will leave my judgment to that, but we'll see how that goes. I know the sentimental, emotional thing about he going back to Cleveland and all the pretty like getting a farewell tour and all that. That emotional and that sounds good.
Yeah.
I know the logistics of that though to me. I know. I don't know if I'm the Cavaliers, if I really want to match my team just for him to come to have a good run tour, right? Because
they,
really and truly, not when I say destroy, I don't mean that. I just feel that they were going to do too much, like, we're going to be too much moving. Well, I don't see Brock on no bench in the NBA. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be that somebody will lose their starting spot. And then you got Mitchell, you got James Harden, you got Braun. James Harden, Braun, I mean, like, that's like Austin Reeves and Braun, right? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, but you'll wait and see. 'Cause, I mean, worst things that happen in the NBA. I mean, first thing happened.
True.
So we'll see
The
what
thing
happens.
about is that Cleveland is in the first April as well. They have one of the most, if not the most expensive roster in the NBA. So they really can't afford to bring him back. As if he comes in, he really has to be on like a nothing deal. So if you add that type of talent on like a veteran minimum, then
He don't
you'll
really
find a
need
way.
the money, but yeah, I understand
You'll
what you're
find a way for it.
Yeah.
I think that it has to be sent out like a hometown deal like that.
saying. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Right. Last year, you come back, none other than Jason Tatum. And he promptly went out. He struggled a little bit in the beginning, but then he started to really catch his rhythm. And he didn't do too badly. Um, but what I want to ask you is, I think I can ask Keelan first. You feel that now that Jason Tatum in, is Boston the team to come to the East?
Um, it's a very intriguing topic, this whole situation. Like I was looking at the game log in terms of the games that he now played, right? Kind of funny, very identical. Um, he shot 6 of 16 in both games, right? Played 27 minutes at exact. So that seems to be what his minutes restriction going forward, right? And honestly, it didn't look too bad for this is someone who's coming off an Achilles 10 months, basically almost 11 months, right? First game he had 15, 12, and 7. Second game he didn't rebound as much, had 20 points, right? Got to the line in the second game at 6 of 7, right? Um, his movement, he's moving along bad, but I think Jalen Brown, there was one play where Jalen Brown threw a alley hoop toss to him, and it still seemed like he was maybe just a little bit, thing, but that's natural. He's coming off and the kid you still got trust around, right? How much that was game 63 and 64 for the Celtics, which means they have 18 more games, right? If Jason Tatum in these next 18 games looks 70 to 80% of Jason Tatum, the Celtics actually have a really good chance of getting out of the East, right? The dynamic has to be. Wait, so you know what? This is related to the thing. So like Carmelo Anthony gave his thoughts about what maybe has to happen between Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown in terms of a combo, considering what Jalen Brown did this season and Jason Tatum no coming back. And apparently he said that all Melo said it was like a combo needs to be high. The JT might have to. It might be best if JT just sacrifice. Let Brown continue to steer the ship and he just kind of add on a little bit. And apparently, Carmelo saying that was the most controversial thing ever because somebody said like, "Oh, the irony of Carmelo Anthony telling Jason Tatum how to win." Mind you, there's a trainer, so the irony of a trainer telling Carmelo Anthony anything about basketball. But here, hey, so like. What Melo said, I actually agree with. I think if they have a conversation about like, all right, bro, I was gone, really and truly everybody thought that Celtics would have been kind of bad this year. They're still really good. Brown has been doing a very good job. MVP contention. You still do you. I can just ease in or whatever. Yes, I still think I'm Jason Tatum, but I don't need to come back and just try to average 30 and take up 20 shots or whatever, kind of let the team flow. This team is already a team that is second or third in the East. Adding Jason Tatum is obviously going to be good. And the rest of the East is still up for grabs. Like in terms of all right, Cleveland, he even just added James Harden, so we don't even really know how good they are. Knicks can be up and down sometimes. Some of these look really good against some teams. Like they would beat the Spurs, then they would lose to the Lakers. We don't think the Lakers are a horrible team, but we don't think that they're very good defensively. And Lakers and Knicks score like 8, 9 points. Pistons don't lost 4 in a row, right? We still think that I still think Pistons maybe one star away from really like getting to that next step. So like the East is up for grabs, and you could argue Celtics had a good chance to go to East, maybe even before Tatum came back. So I think this really gives them a good chance to get out of the East and would put them in a good position if they do get out of the East, then in the NBA Finals against whoever comes in the West.
Okay. All right. What about you, Alan? Where's your take?
Nah, I still think Halliburton and the Pacers. Oh, sorry, different reaction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think I was leaning toward yes, they probably will be the favorites coming out of the East. But one thing that really went well for them this year was injury luck, and now Vucevic is down with an injury. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
not starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a fractured finger, so I think he's going to be out about a month. He still should be back for the playoffs. So
Yeah.
if they remain healthy, I think based on what we see from Tatum, Tatum isn't taking that backseat that Melo was kind of suggesting that he should do. I think the Celtics system still is good enough that Tatum can be aggressive in his spots and Brown can still be aggressive in their spots and they can just flow and let things go based on how things work out. And I think he has returned at a point that he can get in a decent groove coming on going into the playoffs. They finish with the high seeds. They get not sure how the playoff matchups will look like right now. Let me take a quick peek.
They
Like right
would
now, they match up against the Miami
Heat
Heat.
are 76, so depending on the play. Yeah. Right,
Yeah, that's a good warm up series, you know. So for him
yeah.
along the 18 games, so yeah, I think Tatum could be back in pretty decent form by the time the second round of the playoffs roll around, you know. So I don't necessarily see the Heat or Philly. Well, Philly could be a little funny if they're totally healthy by the time the playoffs come around too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I still think the East is pretty wide open. I think this helps the Celtics and put the Celtics a little bit more in front, but I still think Celtics have quite a big hole at the center position. Um, yeah, I think the size of the Pistons and the Cavs in the playoffs and potentially the 76ers as well could pose a few more problems than they might anticipate. So, yeah, to me, it's still tough. I think the Celtics will definitely look better, have a much better chance. If you had to pick a favorite, I guess I may pick them, but to me, I'm not. Before I would say Knicks, but to me, they're just maybe a little bit ahead of Knicks right now. But yeah, to me, it's still pretty wide open.
Yeah, I can agree. I still feel that I felt like I got the pedigree of winning because Pistons has not won anything in the last like forever, right? We know Knicks is doing
22
Knicks.
years.
Yeah. Knicks is doing Knicks things,
Yeah.
right? Right. So Philadelphia is one of the things that like lotto. You know what I mean? Like the probably will or they won't. Right? You know what I mean? Like you like
Actually,
pick the numbers or you're like don't pick the numbers, right? You know what I mean?
actually,
So
I think last time it was 1980. So
yeah. So my thing, I don't. I would agree that the East Open would, but and if I had to pick one, I would pick Boston. That's the truth. I don't see none of teams beating Boston 4 games. I just don't see it. Not if everybody healthy. Oh no, if they're missing a person or somebody's gimpy or something, maybe. Because it's so close to the East that you have to really be perfect. You have to be playing your best ball. So I understand the East pretty close. So I would still pick them though. Once everybody healthy, I think I would still pick them. Yes, and that is it for the Jason Tatum saga. But of course, we can't leave unless we have a pick five.
sure.
And let's say that the last time we had pick five, it wasn't a very good show. Keelan still you came out on top. So we'll leave that one for you.
Come on, obviously. Come on.
But today, we will now go to on Tuesday. You have Detroit at Brooklyn.
Detroit basketball.
Okay. You Alan, you going to Detroit too, Alan?
Yeah, Detroit. Yes.
Right. Yeah, we will all go to Detroit. And then on
The
Wednesday,
Bulls 10 in a
Houston
row.
is at Denver.
Houston is at Denver. Another
Houston.
game another good game for me because that means somebody can lose. That means they can stay in the third seat. Correct. Houston at Denver. I can go Denver.
You going
Yeah, I
Denver?
go Rockets.
Yeah, you going Rockets. All right. I get Denver. If they're playing at Houston, we're going Houston. Thursday, Milwaukee at Miami. Thanks so.
Giannis.
Giannis
Yep.
too.
He been playing good of late. Taking the heat.
Yeah,
Yeah, 10 out of in the street. So yeah,
yeah.
Heat.
Yeah.
I'll give it the Heat too. On Friday, Minnesota at Golden State.
Wolves.
Yeah, T-Wolves.
All right, I can take Golden State just because.
Your loss.
I don't think they're giving, but I take the just. And then on Saturday, Washington is at Boston.
Yeah. Celtics.
Celtics.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Easy Boston.
Yeah. All right, I'll go Boston too. Okay, so that's the big five. However, you know how we do it. You got to call again. I'll let give you first since you have gone first for a little bit. Who you call again?
Game man on Luke Cornett. Believe he single-handedly torpedoed one of the greatest nights in Atlanta history, potentially. Like single-handedly bringing down the Magic City night that they were planning. Commissioner,
Oh God. Don't think
the
about this. That's so funny that if you don't get that, that's
commissioner
hilarious.
announced
That's
today
a good pick. That's a good pick.
that they spoke to stakeholders and various stakeholders. I believe led by Luke Cornett. They said in a
Yeah.
statement, but believe that they say that the Magic City night was not in the best interest of the NBA. So could have been a great night. I'm sure James Harden is very disappointed, but among others. But yeah,
All right.
that's me.
What about you? What about you? What about you? Okay,
Oh, oh man, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. All right. So I can use this like to call a game on outside stuff instead of NBA. And as a NFL fan, right, I call game on the Chiefs because they just signed Kenneth Walker, who, if you don't know, is the Super Bowl MVP in terms of the running back for the Seattle Seahawks. So just so you think that the Chiefs are dead, you know, just like cockroach, can't get rid of them. I like Patrick Mahomes, so naturally, I want Chiefs to win. So that's a very good pickup for them. Still got to do a couple other stuff. We got to be number 9 pick in the draft, but that's a great signing for them picking up the Super Bowl MVP. The running back has been not the strongest spot for them over the last couple of years. So yeah, prepare to have the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl again. Sorry, boo-hoo for y'all.
Okay. Well, you know, anytime you mention the word, the phrase, public sector, people will start saying, the public sector. But on Saturday, public sector was a good thing. So I call game on public sector and Jalon Samuels for winning the Gold Cup. Right?
Oh,
And it was really dramatic. Because everybody was talking with horses on the inside. And the public sector just come and just take them out. I thought that was hilarious. And that's it for our court session. And for right now, the court is adjourned.